So, throughout my life, I've been influenced by a lot of intellectuals, as we know them today, intellectuals, to some geniuses, masters in their fields. But I've always been particularly intrigued with Leonardo da Vinci, the guy that did the Mona Lisa. That's not all he did. The thing is, he wasn't just a painter, he was a sculptor. Now, during his time, to make a painting, to get the right texture of a person, you would need certain colors, and at that time certain colors would not exist. So basically you would have to create those colors by mixing different colors, by collecting herbs and seeing if these herbs will do the trick to get you that detail, so that it looks like a photo finish when it's done. And there's a lot. There was this 3D effect to a lot of his work. I think that's why when he made the painting and his mentor saw it, and he said he would never paint again after seeing what he had witnessed, what this young man could do. Now what he did was, he could also, since he was also a sculptor, he could also design military machineware, and a lot of his designs, some that were stolen, this I know, and some that he did give to the military and were used in battles and were very effective in case most wars had him to thank, and the weapons that he provided for not only bringing that element of surprise, but just putting them, beyond the reach of their enemies. So he was a mechanical engineering guy, but not only that, he was a biologist. Dissecting corpses was illegal, but as everybody knows, he would look at the human body, he would see how every nerve functions, he would see just how the human body functions, and then he would draw it down, and he came to some conclusions, to some papers that are coming up now, about how we know this now, it's common, but I'm talking about way back, for men to have had that kind of insight way back, of how the brain is needed, the heart, and so forth. It led to new frontiers, because as taboo as it was, as much as he was scorned and so forth, there were people that were backing him in the distance. And then he had the plans for his flying machines, which never really took off, and I think this is because he was very recluse. If he wasn't as recluse, had a bit more funding, he might have gotten up in the air before the Wayne brothers, and I'm not just exaggerating. This man is what I would say genius. When you speak, genius, people speak of genius. If I would speak of a genius, I would say him. Obviously, after him comes Albert Einstein, and after Einstein comes my friend, the eccentric what do they do? Quantum physics guy. That's where I'll leave it. He was smarter than Einstein, but what Einstein had was what set Leonardo apart. He had imagination, because when the machines are there, you have to wait for data. When you can't be there, you have to try and reimagine. And when you have to try and reimagine, you need one thing, and that is you have to be really good in mathematics. A lot of a lot of them aren't as good as math. They are really good with the physics part, but not as good with the math, where they would take on, the math guys kind of look down on the physics guys sometimes, but Einstein was a bit of both. He was really good at math and he was really good at physics, and thus he was able to put them together. And he's actually the birth father, the founder of quantum mechanics, something that he never really got any credit for, because he was so against it, because it just made everything else seem redundant, right? So if we're looking at today's modern so-called genius, I say genius that is focused on one thing. Let's say this person is really smart in this one thing. You're not a genius. You're good at what you do. If someone is good at 3 things, then they are great. If they are good at 4, they are genius, and the rest just follows, right? Because it isn't really that hard for people, especially people with high aptitudes, to retrain their mind, to condition it, to relearn certain aspects of something else that they don't understand. I was met with this when I was investigating myself, and I came up with these neuropsychology book, and I read it. I understood some of the things he was saying, how it works and so forth. But then I met a professor, and we're talking. I was like, and then he told me, "What do you teach?" And I told him, well, I read a book. I don't teach anyway. I was just interested in this stuff. And he was like, wow. And he gave me his details, told me that this is the career that I'm meant for. He can see the potential, and but I was going through some stuff. I cut it off. That was that conversation. But what it did show me is how limited people are, or how much they limit themselves. limited to the point of, oh, who will laugh at that one that doesn't have a degree? Laugh at that one that doesn't have a degree, but is probably 10 times smarter than you. We have undergrads, and that's something that we want to celebrate. No, that is a milestone. It is getting there. When you get your PhD, then cool. Or when you get in your workplace and you get to where you're going, cool. Whatever your goal is, it has to be big. I don't know when this concept came to me where things have to be big. But I have this really neat trick where I can sort of decipher a lot of things within a span of 5 minutes. Read environments, people, posture, and see what they're plotting. Just over 5 minutes. And this I did by spending time with a group. I think it was like for 6 months. And this guy, their leader, was one of the guys teaching some of the guys in Secret Service how to detect whether someone has been compromised, whether someone is a potential threat. When they have those rallies and stuff, when they move around, and when they are watching people, to look out for those small, subtle signs, and they are small. And I think it was a cool thing that they gave me that opportunity to venture with them. I don't think they thought that I would succeed to a point. I mean, I'm not as good as they are, but it's a nice thing to have. What I want to say is that we're all geniuses in our own capacity, and genius should not be confined to one area, but it should also not be confined to stupidity. Right? Stupidity, like those, I saw a show where they had toast with a picture. I mean, there was a toast and there was like a form of Mary Magdalene on there, and people were looking at it and praying, and it was, they were bidding like, wow, this valuable toast. No, that's stupid. Alright? The world is unequal, so it's for the ones that have the capacity. We should not fear them, that somehow this very, very smart guy is going to destroy. No, that's hardly how it is. Let's enable each other, guys. Phase 2 depends on this. Phase 2 is giving you and seeing what you've learned. It's time for you to demonstrate. So I say to you, salute.